Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Ahead for Business, where every week we try to answer the time-honored, age-old question, what were they thinking? And I'll start today's episode with a brief story. I used to work for a huge computer company that no longer exists, and one of the jokes we used to make while we were working inside that company was that if that company had sold sushi, they would have called it cold, wet, dead fish. They would have been right, but nobody would have bought it. And in fact, I think that's one of the issues that kind of led to their demise eventually. So today we're going to be speaking with a great expert on the subject of emotional branding, and that is actually connecting with people to make a promise that matters to them rather than just providing them with information and literally describing what it is you do. And Kevin's going to be on in a bit, but first, please welcome my co-host, my executive producer, my boss with the hot sauce. I don't remember what radio station that was from, but here is Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for the introduction, Al. Very nice. How are you today?
I'm doing just great. And this subject today is a subject that really matters to me because everybody thinks that answering the question, what's my ROI, is the key to making a sale. But in fact, it's my experience that people don't buy because they believe it'll make them money. People buy because they believe it'll make them something that appeals to them more emotionally and more viscerally than just the checkbook. And, that's why I think Kevin is going to have so much to offer today.
I agree with you. I think people innately want to become brand ambassadors, whether they realize it or not. You want to be able to be in alignment with the things you believe in. And these are the brands that we as consumers buy every day. But most importantly, I think when it comes to our own business, what is the brand and brand recognition and the emotional attachment with or without the brands that we've created?
And that's a question I know you think about all the time because you're operating so many brands now concurrently. All of them are becoming successful in their own way, and every one of them makes a unique promise. And that promise matters to people, and that's the secret to success, I think.
I agree
so
with
why
you.
don't we bring
it takes a team. Let's bring out Kevin and see what
bring out Kevin.
Kevin, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, Kevin, are you the right guest for this show? I mean, for everything that I just said, we're talking to you about this today, right?
I was listening to you speak, Al, and I was wondering what I was going to contribute.
Well, the cold, wet, dead fish thing.
That's not me. I have nothing to do with that story. That story I know nothing about. But everything you said after that, spot on.
That's you. That's definitely you. So your job then is to work with a client of yours, to try to understand what's going to resonate with the people who are their prospective buyers. And, I think in my tagline for the program, I just said it's like a 3-step process. Step number 1 is buying is behavior. Step number 2 is emotions drive behavior. Step number 3 is that's where selling comes from. Do I have that right?
You do have it right. I work with a client, a brand leader, to figure out how we should get their brand out in the world. But one of the most important steps that I take that is crucial to the process, and what a lot of people miss in the process, is actually talking with customers and understanding what makes them tick and understanding what they care most about in their world, with or without this product in their life. And then finding a way to find the natural intersection between what the brand cares about and does for people in the world and what people need, want, and desire in their life, and then using strategy and messaging and other aspects of branding to create a connection that feels instinctively desirable.
That's great. I was going to add one more thing. This is a fun subject for me. I'm sorry, Dr. Jacalyn, but just let me add one more thing. There is this concept in corporate America called the Franken deck. It's a Frankenstein's monster PowerPoint deck.
Yeah.
That has been gathered like moss on a stone over a period of many months or years even, that has 1 billion slides in it, that says 1 billion different things that vendors feel they need to say. And it almost becomes a performative kind of a thing for them. And they completely miss the point that none of that matters to the audience they're trying to reach.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that so many times, because every time I get briefed by my client, when I come into working with them, I ask them to send me everything that they have. And I see a lot of historical lore that's been built up over time. And there's a lot of confirmation bias that I hear about, that is being, confirmation bias that is driving decisions. Belief that what we know already is the right way to go. And there's a lack of current information on what matters most to people. And a lot of things, as you said, that have been built up over time that keep getting repeated. Another big corporate ism is this camel is a horse that was built by committee. And, it has all of these inputs and parts by different people who are trying to make everything work, but they're not thinking about it in a simplistic way, getting down to the essence of what really matters most and focusing on that. And strategy, and I'm not the first one to say this, but strategy is about making choices.
Great.
Kevin, a question I have for you is for people who are watching, who are in the business community and have established brands, or people who are thinking of rebranding or maybe coming out with a new business, when is it that it's appropriate to call you to get involved with what they're doing with their branding?
Well, I work with brand leaders who are ready to better understand their customers, more eager to create desire for their brand, and who demonstrate an appreciation for the idea that using behavioral science insights and understanding is going to be more effective than old school persuasion techniques. So I'm happy to work with brand leaders at any point that they're ready to do that kind of work, whether they work with me directly, whether they buy my book to understand how to do it themselves, or make sure that their team is doing it in an appropriate way. Soon to be launched online courses that can help them do it. So there are many ways to learn from what I'm putting out there. But I'm always happy to have conversations with people who are curious about how to get started.
And as a follow-up to that, how accurate is it to say that instead of using a process that I've seen people use, which is literally, I'm going to put 3 different potential branding ideas on the wall and go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or I'm going to put it on social media and go, oh, what do you think I should do about my branding? You're using behavioral science and research.
Yeah, I mean, the dartboard approach to strategy and messaging is I mean, I wouldn't say that people do it intentionally. I would say it's more working without insight leads to guesswork. So from the beginning of what you said, if you're making decisions based on what you're thinking is the right thing to do without new insights, without new information, without understanding what makes your customers tick, without understanding why customers choose your brand, which is wonderful insight for attracting new people to the brand, because you already know that people are working with you for these reasons, and other people will probably want some of that in their world. If you're working without that insight, you're basically doing guesswork. And to the second thing you said, putting something on social media and polling the general population about something is not, it could be equivalent to the old cliche of like, we chose this direction because my grandmother liked it. Like you're not asking the right people and you're not asking the right questions. And that's a lot of what I do. And by bringing behavioral science understanding into the work, I'm recognizing that the way we make decisions is not always rational. In fact, most of the time it's not, and it's rooted in our instinctive emotional responses to things. And when making decisions, either as a customer for a product or service, or as a brand leader for how you are going to decide which direction is the way to go, if you're not taking into account how we as humans make decisions instinctively and often emotionally, you're missing the mark, and you're over rationalizing things that don't happen that way in the real world.
Well said. Thank you.
That's great. And let's start with the book. Well, keep going with the book. You wrote the book as a way of communicating these insights that you've developed in your professional career as a brand strategist over the years. Yes. If I buy your book and I start reading your book, what are some of the ahas that I discover? The things I never knew before.
Well, the first thing that you're going to discover when talking with me, reading my book, anything, is that the way it's always been done is not the best way forward. We're most of the ways that people were taught from years and years ago and through their mentors, and even recently and still to this day, is rooted in what I consider to be old school persuasion techniques. It's rooted in unique selling propositions, proof points, reasons to believe, language and approaches that cause you to think internally about what you want to sell to people and how you will prove to people that it is the right thing for them. And then you put out these sales messages using persuasion techniques. And what you will learn from me is that the place to start is not with internal discussions about what you want to sell and prove to people about the validity of your offering and the value of your offering. You will start with understanding people and what makes them tick. And one of the things that I introduce in the book is a new set of language, because language guides behavior. So if you say to a group of strategists and account managers and brand leaders and brand managers and whatever, and you say, what are the proof points? They're going to come up with the reasons to prove. But if you say, what is the shared emotional motivation that we have with our customers or our target audience? The shared emotional motivation is language that I've created. It's a core insight that you get at the beginning of the process of developing a strategy that is rooted in it. The language itself guides you to understand, what do we care about and what do our customers care about, and how can I find that intersection in the middle? So just by introducing language that I bring into the book, you're going to be directed automatically to look for things you haven't looked for in the past. Another thing is the brand idea or the tagline, and everybody knows what a brand idea and a tagline is. I combine them into one thing in my book because in traditional agency work, the account planner will come up with the brand idea and the copywriter will come up with the tagline. In my work, I combine them efficiently into one piece. And when you have a brand idea that's out in the world, generically, it's often an about us statement, about the brand statement. What I do is I provide a more tight definition, which is that it must be a compelling brand benefit and invitation. And if it's a benefit and invitation, people will see themselves in it, will feel like it was designed with them in mind, and they will find themselves compelled to check it out, as opposed to just hearing an about us statement about the brand. So the answer to your question, Al, is throughout the book, I'm bringing in ways to discover what matters most to your customers. Very specifically, I'm bringing in new language that helps guide you in a new direction versus the way it's always been done. And I'm infusing behavioral science understanding throughout. There's also 6 chapters that are very specifically and exclusively case studies of how the approach that I share throughout the book has been used and the behind the scenes conversations I've had with my clients to get to the final answers.
I highly recommend the approach to anybody out there who's wondering why they're not getting the traction that they feel they deserve and that they may in fact actually deserve. I've been in so many meetings where people have just argued about which font do we use, forgetting completely the importance of the message and its resonance in the deep brain, not just the part of the brain that processes information, but the part of the brain that acts on the information it processes, that makes decisions and choices. And it's great to be talking to somebody who respects that process. So if I buy your book, I don't need you.
I wrote this book. So, I mean, here's the thing. Writing a book is a very risky and vulnerable thing. I started my company just over 7 years ago, Limbic Brand Evolution. I started it after working for decades starting in advertising, 7 years at one of the largest global brand consultancies, learning the ropes of the trade, and then working at a sonic branding music studio where I learned about behavioral science and that understanding through working with some research partners who I now refer to as my behavioral science mentors. I wrote the book after several years of launching Limbic Sparks Brand Strategy that brings this new approach into the world, which I was using exclusively with my clients. And to answer your question, yes, you may not need me if you buy the book because I've given away all my secrets. I did this not exclusively as a lead generator. I did this to advance the profession of brand strategy and how we go about doing this throughout the industry. It's a very audacious thing for me to say, but I was more interested in helping brand leaders of any size company and helping consultants who are working in similar ways that I am do their work more effectively by using behavioral science. For me, it was more exciting to give away all my secrets and my approaches and share my client work in excruciating detail. Excruciating is the wrong word from an emotional perspective, but you know what I mean. In
it's a good word.
Great detail, engaging detail, so that I could, so that people could learn from it. So yeah, I'm not in this to keep secrets. I'm in this to give away the approach, which I do in a very detailed way.
How do we as humans connect with a brand? In other words, what are some of the things that draw us in? Is it the size of the letters? I think it's the experience we get from whatever it is that we are using of the product or belonging to a certain club or something. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the things that cause us to repel brands from us. I mean, we're no longer interested in being sold to. We're no longer interested in the constant spam that we get through our social media, in our email. We're no longer interested in people who are obviously using AI to come up with some sort of a generic message that sounds personalized when they have no clue about who you are and what you actually care about. What helps us connect with a brand is when it feels personally relevant, when it feels like it was designed with you in mind, when you have an interaction with a brand and you're like, wow, they really get me, they really care about, they understand what makes me tick. And when we start to invite them into an experience that helps them feel like you thoughtfully understood what your customers care about, and you've put together an offering and a way of communicating that draws them in because it feels relevant. So each of the things you're showing on the screen right now, these are clients I've worked with and brand ideas that we've developed. They're all examples of brand benefits and invitations that are rooted in insight about what customers of those brands care about. It also is authentically representing what the customers get from the brand. It's not some aspirational positioning that they're unable to deliver in the experience. That's insight rooted in not only what they care about, but what they're currently appreciating most about working with those companies.
As you were talking, I was thinking, channeling Dr. Jacalyn, a really crappy way to start a show would be, hello, everybody. Welcome to Ahead for Business. I hope this episode finds you well.
Cliche of them all.
People are so sick of robotic pitches that they don't work anymore. They just don't work. And I noticed in one of your references that we just sort of scrolled through, you have a not-for-profit. These kinds of concepts are just as important in organizations that are looking to raise money other than by profiting off the sale of a product or a service. Is that right?
Absolutely. I've done work with a variety of nonprofits. I'm a board member of a nonprofit called Rise at njrise.org, which is a social services nonprofit in central New Jersey. I'm a board member. I'm also the head of the Strategic Planning and Brand Development Committee, and I've been so for many years. My first client of Limbic Brand Evolution was the AT&T Performing Arts Center, which is a performing arts center nonprofit in Dallas. They have a campus, and we transformed their brand idea from staging the amazing, which to people in Dallas felt a little bit exclusive and distant, and it actually caused them to talk about their amazing performances and amazing facilities and their amazing parking garage and all of these things that made families and individuals sometimes feel it wasn't a brand for them, to a new idea, which is yours to discover, which is actually inviting people in a welcoming way to be part of something and to learn all about what they have to offer in that environment. And that's been a transformation that's 6 years in market and continuing to be their mantra for how they invite people in and showcase what they have to offer the community. Where else can we go? There's other nonprofit work that I've done, some of it which I can't talk about because it's still in progress, where we understood through research that the say-do gap is quite large. Nobody's going to say, I don't care about what this nonprofit is doing. But when it comes down to their behavior, they're not always going to take action. So we've done research, in some cases, quantitative behavioral science research, where we've understood what is going to instinctively motivate people to take action. And one of the key things that we learned, and this is just one of many insights that we learned that I've seen in multiple places, is that when a nonprofit promotes their results, their statistics, which most do, when they highlight that as the primary thing, sometimes what they're doing looks so impressive and so broad, and the numbers are so big that an individual may think, well, they're already got it covered. What can I do to help? So a very simple twist that we're incorporating is not talking about the work that's been done, but demonstrating how much work there is left to do and how you as an individual can play a meaningful role in supporting our cause. So that's something we're doing in work that I've done with other clients. And it's also something that we do at Rise, where our brand idea is Together We Rise. And all of our communications are about how, as a community, we come together to help our neighbors in need.
Congratulations on that. That's a fantastic case study and real life example. And you mentioned community, and a question I have, which could also be a case study. By the way, Kevin and Al have no idea what I'm going to be saying right now. And I didn't know what I was going to be saying, but I'm
a little afraid.
I work out religiously every day, and I've belonged to this fitness community since 2018. And long story short, when it was still owned by the founder, it was a certain way, and the founder sold it to a big corporate, and things have changed. So the name hasn't changed, and the basic environment of the studio hasn't changed, but the way they go to market and the way that I feel when I'm there has definitely changed. And so I wrote to corporate and said, hey, by the way, not sure you want people my age anymore, but probably stronger than all of them from what I've seen. And you're really kind of singling out a certain marketplace. So my question to you is, when you have a takeover or a selling, buying, a merge of a brand, do you come out to the public and say, by the way, we were focused on this, but now we're going to be focused on this. How do you, like, what is the messaging that you communicate, knowing that you may lose part of your audience?
Yeah, it's a great question. And some of the answers to your question relate to brand strategy, but I think before you answer those questions, there needs to be a understanding of business strategy. Why was that merger happening? Why was that takeover done? Was it done because the company was hemorrhaging profit, hemorrhaging, expenses, and they needed to shift business strategy? And maybe the new company that's running has recognized that a particular audience segment is no longer their focus. On the other hand, if you are looking to have a change of branding, but keep your customers that you currently have and make things better for them, the first step is to understand more about them and to recognize the equities and what exists that is worth preserving, and use that as a foundation for going forward before determining what needs to change. So every merger and acquisition type situation is very different, but it requires an understanding of business strategy and then customer equity and decisions around what you want to retain and what you want to shed in the new brand moving forward. And there's always risk, but if it's on strategy and there's a plan behind it, you need to take that risk and build from there.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I've decided to take my money elsewhere.
And that's a very valid thing for you to do, because they did not make you feel the way you want to feel, which, by the way, how a brand experience makes us feel is the largest driver of loyalty. And you've just given us some evidence of that. And that may be a decision that you've made based on mistakes that this brand has made, or based on strategic things that they've done because they're looking for another type of customer.
Absolutely.
That was a great question. And I think that's a future episode of Ahead for Business, because if that isn't a what were they thinking, I don't know what is. So that's pretty amazing to me. But the incredible thing to me, I think, though, Dr. Jacalyn, is that they never talked to you. They never asked you what you wanted or what mattered to you. And so they took, I guess, the same instructors, the same facility, the same equipment, and turned you from somebody who liked all that to somebody who didn't like all that, just by changing the way they message it.
Very true. I was an unofficial brand ambassador, and people would come up to me and say, "I'd want to be next to you on the machine because you're so inspiring," wherever it was when I traveled around the world. And so they weren't interested. So the interesting thing, I think, also is, as we get older, we have a certain amount of disposable income and we can choose to do what we want. But many brands, I see, this is a general statement, are focused on much younger people. And so you wonder, where do they get $40 to do a class? I don't know. I guess we can talk about that later. But you're right. It's a business strategy. And so they must have information that I don't have. And so we have to think to ourselves.
Well, there's either information they have that you don't have, or they've been making decisions without a clear strategy or insights to back up those ideas. And I find more often than not that mistakes in business and brand strategy are made when there's too much, where we started, internal ideation without customer insight, guesswork on how to move forward, just decisions that are made based on people feeling that it's the right thing to do without the evidence to back it up. And I'm in a situation right now where I'm working on brand strategy with a client, and we've done a ton of insights discovery, which is the first phase of my process. Focus is the first phase, and there's insights discovery, where we've gathered a lot of information and we've distilled that into actionable imperatives for moving forward to achieve the objectives we want and to bring in the insights that we need. And as we're evaluating strategy, we're not evaluating it against what we like and don't like necessarily. We're first evaluating it against the criteria we've set for what we need to move forward. Because sometimes what we instinctively like and don't like is rooted more in what we're comfortable with versus what makes us uncomfortable. And sometimes what makes us uncomfortable is the right way to go if there's strategy and insight to back it up.
You know, I want to, we never have enough time, especially with somebody who's got as much to offer as you do. And I know we're coming up on the end of the program. Before we close, though, I want to talk about a rift that develops inside of companies, even small companies, where the people who sell what it is they have end up at odds with the people who market what it is they have. I mean, the sales and marketing teams, where your salespeople are probably best equipped to tell you how your customers feel about the experience they're getting. Most marketing people tend to turn them off and not listen to them when they start to explain that to them. And a lot of marketing people, I think, kind of drift off the rails. They end up producing content that makes salespeople angry because they can't use it to sell.
Yeah.
You sound to me like a kind of a Henry Kissinger in the middle of all that.
I was just thinking that, not Henry Kissinger, but the role that he played. I definitely, in my work, bring together marketing and sales. And I do it through the gathering of insights about what matters most to customers. Salespeople have that insight if you could bring it out of them. Customers themselves bring it out. You can get it through having customer interviews, which I always do. You can get it through quantitative research. You can get it through an analysis of reviews that have been done. B2B site, there's like G2 reviews for B2B companies and other places where people volunteer how they feel about working with a company. There are many ways that I describe in the book how to gather insight about what matters most to people. The biggest challenge that salespeople have is that they are under pressure to sell. And if they don't have customer insight, they're going to work with what they've done in the past. They're going to come up with ways to sell that they think are the right way to go. But if you can galvanize an organization around customer insight, it rises everybody's tide. Customer insight is your competitive advantage. It allows you to make sure your products and services are exactly what customers need. It allows you to make sure your marketing and sales messages are hitting on the things that people care about. And it allows your customers to feel like you care about them because the experience they have with your company was designed with them in mind. So customer insight, especially emotional insight, which I share how to find and use in the book, is your competitive advantage in every way, shape, and form.
You know, Kevin Perlmutter, I know we're just about ready to wrap. Dr. Jacalyn, did you have anything else you wanted to add or point out before we?
Yes, I just wanted to say for those who will be listening on a podcast platform later after this airs live, we are actually showing where you can buy the book, Brand Desire. Kevin, tell us about the places people can buy this. So on Amazon, anywhere else?
Yeah, I mean, the book is available pretty much anywhere online you can go. Any bookstore can sell it. But if you want to learn more about it, Amazon is one place to go, or branddesirebook.com, which is a page on my company website that goes into detail about the book and the places to get it. And then there are, of course, links to other aspects of Limbic brand evolution and the work that I do in ways. There's a section on the website called How I Can Help, which talks about the ways I can support in terms of consulting, the book. Online courses will be added to that soon, and other speaking engagements. I'm doing speaking engagements for corporations and associations. So there are many ways to access me and what I have to offer, and you can find it all there.
Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this episode, and I've learned a lot from it. I think my last question would be for people who are watching now and thinking, okay, I'm in a crisis mode because I realize that my branding is off. It's not creating any emotional attachment. I don't have any brand ambassadors. How do they start over? The first step is to contact you.
You know what? I generously, sure, they could contact me and I could certainly help them if they want to do that. I would say the first place they should start is having a conversation with a few customers. Start to talk to your customers, understand, ask questions or have somebody ask questions for you. Like, why do you choose to buy from us? If we disappeared, what would you miss the most? If you were to recommend us to anyone else, what is the one thing you would say is the reason why they should work with us as opposed to who they're currently working with? You start to ask questions like this and tap into what people are emotionally compelled to achieve when they work with you, and those will start to become the answers for why other people might want to purchase from you, and they could become your core brand benefits. I help do that very systematically, but if you want to do it on your own qualitatively, it's a great place to start.
Yeah, a terrific place to start. I do want to thank Jonathan Rosen of Collaborex, because if it weren't for Jonathan Rosen and Collaborex, I wouldn't have met you, Kevin.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jonathan.
And for Jonathan in many ways, especially for our connection. So thank you for Jonathan.
Yeah, really terrific. And he was a guest earlier this year, and I think we'll bring him back later this year too to talk about Collaborex some more. But thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you being here, and we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much to both of you. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Kevin. Bye.
Well, what do you think?
I learned quite a bit. I think branding is so important. As you know, I have multiple businesses and I'm always looking at the branding. And for USA Global TV and Radio, you may remember, because you were here in the dark ages 5 years ago, when we started out as Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. And it's been quite a transition, as you can see this arrow going up. And it's because of talking to people who have been involved since the beginning, like you. And I think when I'm counseling, coaching people, what I hear the most is they are afraid to speak with their customers because they don't know what they're going to say.
I was going to suggest that before you talk to Kevin, or maybe while you're talking to Kevin, you ought to be talking to Dr. Jacalyn, because it takes courage to reach out to a customer and ask a question like that, not knowing what kind of an answer you're going to get. A lot of people, I think, because they're afraid of the answer, they never ask the question, which means they keep going with their Frankendeck. Show them slides, tell them what we've always told them. And the other one too is, if they would have asked, if the experience that you related earlier, if they just asked you or somebody else like you who really enjoyed using their services and being a part of their family, what can we do better? How could we, what are the messages we need to emphasize? If they would have just asked, they wouldn't have made the mistake they made, and they would still have you on board. It's amazing how we pitch people over and don't even think about it.
And I canceled my membership just 3 days ago after having it since 2018 and going maybe 5 days a week. And it was actually, I know it sounds crazy, it was heartbreaking because it's a big part of my life, but I just can't feel it's something I can support anymore.
They said goodbye to you. And they didn't, they just said goodbye. They just said, we don't want you as a customer. That's how you interpreted it. I don't fit here anymore because I'm no longer a good fit for them. They're no longer a good fit for me. And so you move on, which is a shame. You like those people. You knew that crew that you worked with there, but it's bad for them too, because I'm sure they enjoyed working with you. And now everybody's unhappy, and it could have been avoided.
Well, as they say, the show goes on, but I want to say one comment about what you said, which is here at our television network, when I am coaching various TV show hosts, I think we have 28 now, I will say, have you watched your own programs? Oh, no, I can't watch them. You can't watch yourself, but you want other people to watch you. You are looking to grow your following, but you will not even watch. No, I'm afraid of what I'm going to see. Okay, so you're afraid. What does that mean? What if you see something you don't like? Well, I'll have to change. Okay, what does that mean? I don't want to change. Okay, there we go. There's the issue. I don't want to change.
Well, okay, so you made me stop picking my nose. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You made me stop twitching and jumping around. You made me stop clicking my pen.
Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. That pen drives me crazy.
You made me do all that. And I went back and watched a couple of the episodes I did where I was clicking. I never picked my nose. But not out in public anyway. But I heard the pen clicking. I saw me twitching. That's how we improve. We help each other improve by saying things like that.
It was only said with love. Thank you so much for watching.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Stopping the clicking. Well, my friend, it's time to close out today for our episode, so I will let you have the honors.
Well, listen, this episode of Ahead for Business has been a special one for me, and I hope it's been informative and valuable to you. There are a bunch of lessons in what Kevin had to offer, and I hope one or two of them benefit you in your business or in your not-for-profit. And finally, I guess I could talk a little bit about what we do, and it's ProFit for Teams, and we're a team development experience, and We've just gone from a TM after the name to an R. We're now a registered trademark, and I think poised for a major takeoff in a very short period of time. So anyway, our whole goal is to make sure that the experience that Dr. Jacalyn related, where all of a sudden she no longer fit into the family of a company that she had been using and working with for years, that feeling of fit is critical and essential to getting a team to be more productive and to be more joyful in the work they do. And ProFit for Teams is about using behavioral science to reinforce those feelings of fit in people, to find the reason why we're a team and what is it we're about. And so I hope people will visit pro-fit4teams.com to learn more about us. Certainly connect up with me on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find. There I am. I think I'm the only Al Cini. Maybe. I don't know. I think I am. But get in there and connect with me, and let's see if we can't get to know each other. And thank you, as always, Dr. Jacalyn, for this opportunity. It's been great.
Every day, we wake up knowing what we should do. We know we should take better care of ourselves. We know we should have the difficult conversation. We know we should stop making excuses. We know we should invest in our future. We also know we should take the first step. So why don't we? It's not because we aren't smart enough. It's not because we don't have enough information. And it's certainly not because we don't care. We live in a world overflowing with knowledge. Books, podcasts, videos, courses, experts, even artificial intelligence. We have more access to information than any generation before us. Yet so many of us are still waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready, waiting until tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week becomes next year, and before you know it, another opportunity has passed us by. The truth is, knowing has never been the finish line. It's only the starting line. Our lives don't change because we know more. Our businesses don't grow because we know more. Our relationships don't improve because we know more. And our health doesn't transform because we know more. Everything changes when we act. When we choose courage over comfort, progress over perfection, action over intention. The question isn't, what else do we need to know? The question is, what are we going to do with what we already know? Stop. Why Knowing Isn't Enough by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Because knowing opens the door. Action changes your life. Available September 2026.
Every great story begins with a vision. At USA Global TV and Radio for years, we've been providing world-class education, entertainment, inspiration, imagination, connections, and hope. Most people don't stay to watch the outro or the credits, but it's the people behind every success, behind every breakthrough, and behind every unforgettable story who matter. The TV show hosts, our guests, our sponsors, our publicists, our production team, our distribution team, our search engine optimization team, and so many more. You're the ones who make the difference. Every great story belongs to the people who bring to life. Our future looks bright at USA Global TV. And that's because we have families all around the world. Together, we're making a difference. Because you matter. USA Global TV and Radio, live streaming in over 60 countries. So Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, production and direction, Paul Garcia. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube.
Hey you, psst. Yes you, watching this right now. Are you creating content, a blog, a podcast, a newsletter, going live on Instagram or TikTok, and still not seeing real visibility or growth? Here's why. Anyone can post, Anyone can go live, but not everyone is positioned to be taken seriously. Right now, people are going to YouTube to search for experts, for answers, for credibility. So while you're putting in the work, someone else is being seen as the authority. Not because they know more, because they're positioned better. Now imagine this: your own professionally produced TV show, marketed, distributed, optimized with SEO so people can actually find you. Not just seen, but searchable, discoverable, positioned. You're trained, you're coached, you're guided. No experience necessary, but you do have to be coachable, because this is about stepping into a higher level. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing it right. We've already built the platform, 2 YouTube channels, a global audience, a Silver Creator Award. So the question is, how much longer are you going to rely on temporary visibility when you could be building real authority? If you're ready to be seen differently, go to usaglobaltv.com and apply to host your own show. This is for individuals who are serious about investing in their visibility, their credibility, and their growth. If that's you, we're ready. USA Global TV and Radio, where your voice becomes your platform. Executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer, Paul Garcia. Voiceover, Ed Vargas. All rights reserved. This production is the exclusive property of the USA Global TV and Radio and may not be reproduced, distributed, or used without written permission.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.